My parents stole my $50,000 inheritance and gave it to my golden boy brother. His way of thanking me? A video of himself with my girlfriend, wearing nothing but a smirk. They thought they had broken me. They were wrong. I built an empire. And this is the story of the day they came begging. From the moment my younger brother, Leo, was born, the universe tilted. I was the firstborn, the trial run, the beta test. Leo, however, was the upgrade. He was the golden child, and my parents made sure everyone knew it. If I got a B on a test, it was, why wasn't it an A? If Leo managed to not eat the crayons in kindergarten, a party was practically thrown in his honor. He grew up wrapped in a cocoon of zero consequences. When he was 16, he took our dad's car for a joyride and crashed it into a neighbor's prized rose bushes. My parents' response? They paid for the damages, bought the neighbor a new set of garden gnomes, and told Leo he was just being a boy. A month later, when I was late for my curfew by 10 minutes because my part-time job ran late, I was grounded for a month. The message was clear. There was one set of rules for Leo and another, much harsher set for me. The real breaking point, the one that shattered any illusion of family I had left, came when our grandmother passed away. She was my rock, the one person who saw me for who I was, not for who I wasn't in comparison to Leo. In her will, she left a significant sum of money, $50,000, to be split equally between us, for when we each turned 25. It was meant to be a fresh start, a foundation for our futures. My 25th birthday came and went. When I finally asked my parents about the inheritance, they sat me down in the living room, their faces a mask of strained sincerity. "Honey, we need to talk about the money," my mom said. My dad jumped in. We had to use it. There were some unexpected expenses, a business opportunity for me that didn't pan out. I looked at them, then over at Leo, who was lounging in an armchair, scrolling through his phone without a care in the world. He was wearing a new designer jacket that probably cost more than my first car. "You used my inheritance, my 50,000? I asked, struggling to keep my voice steady. "We were going to tell you," my mom insisted. We had to help your brother out. He needed a more reliable car for his endeavors." Endeavors? I thought. His endeavors consisted of driving to parties and finding himself. That's when I saw it. A flicker of triumph in Leo's eyes. He knew. He had probably orchestrated the whole thing. The money hadn't gone to some failed business. It had been funneled directly into the black hole of Leo's entitled lifestyle. My money. The last gift from the only person who ever truly believed in me. That was it. I packed a single bag that night. There was no grand farewell, no screaming match. Just a quiet, clean break. I walked out of that house and never looked back. The first few years were brutal. I worked 3 jobs, living in a shoebox apartment with a leaky faucet and neighbors who argued at 3 a.m. I ate so many ramen noodles that the thought of them still makes me sick. But with every dollar I saved, with every small step forward, I felt a sense of pride I'd never known. I was building something that was truly mine, brick by painful brick. I put myself through night school, got a degree in software development, and slowly, painstakingly, clawed my way into a respectable career. Then, about 5 years after I'd left, the messages started. First, a text from my mom. "Hi sweetie, was just thinking about you. Hope you're well. XO." I ignored it. Then came the calls. Then the emails from my dad. They painted a picture of a family that had supposedly seen the error of its ways. They were sorry, they said. They missed me. Even Leo sent a text. "Hey man, long time. Dad said you're doing big things. We should catch up." Against my better judgment, a small, foolish part of me wanted to believe them. The part that still longed for a family, so I let them back in, just a crack. We started with coffee, then dinner. It was nice. They praised my success and listened to my stories. Leo seemed to have matured. He was apologetic, almost remorseful about his past behavior. It felt like I was finally getting the family I always wanted. It was during this time that I met Clara. She was brilliant, funny, and beautiful. An architect? Her passion for creating things from the ground up mirrored my own journey. For the first time, I felt truly happy. When I introduced her to my family, they welcomed her with open arms. My mom doted on her, my dad talked to her about building designs, even Leo was charming and respectful. Little did I know, the consequences of this decision would become terrifyingly clear in the update I'd post a month later. Clara and I were getting serious. We were talking about moving in together, about the future. I felt like I was on top of the world. My life, which I had built from the ashes of my past, was finally complete. And that's when my phone buzzed. After watching the video, I didn't rage, I didn't scream. I just felt a profound, chilling cold spread through my veins. It was the calm of a man who had absolutely nothing left to lose. My brother hadn't just betrayed me, he had taken a surgical knife to the happiest part of my life and carved it out with a smug grin. Clara wasn't just unfaithful, she was a co-conspirator in my emotional execution. My first instinct was to destroy them, to send the video to Clara's parents, to her boss, to post it everywhere and ruin their lives as they had tried to ruin mine. But as I sat there in the dark, the cold in my chest solidified into something harder, something sharper, resolve. A loud, messy revenge was what Leo wanted. He wanted a reaction, a fight. He wanted to see me broken. I wasn't going to give him the satisfaction. My revenge would be silent. It would be life itself. I deleted the video and blocked Leo's number. Then I sent a text to Clara. "We need to talk. I'm at the apartment." When she arrived, she was the picture of innocence. She tried to kiss me, but I stepped back. "I know about you and Leo," I said. The color drained from her face. The mask fell, and for a second, I saw the real her, panicked and cornered. "What? What are you talking about? He's your brother," she stammered. "Don't insult my intelligence," I replied calmly. "It's over. Pack your things and get out of my apartment, now." The tears started, the desperate denials, the pathetic excuses. It was a mistake. It only happened once. He meant nothing to me. I felt nothing. It was like watching a bad movie. I just stood there, arms crossed, until she had packed her bags and was standing at the door. "You're just going to throw everything away?" she asked, her voice trembling. "You threw it away," I said, looking right through her. "He threw it away. I'm just cleaning up the mess. Goodbye, Clara." I closed the door on her and on my old life. The next day, I funneled all my anger, all my pain, all my focus into my work. I started a small tech company with a partner, pouring every waking hour into it. The betrayal became my fuel. While Leo was probably celebrating his win, I was coding, networking, and building an empire. My desire for success was no longer just about proving I could do it on my own. It was about creating a life so magnificent that their petty, pathetic world couldn't even touch its shadow. My parents called, asking why I'd cut off contact again. They said Leo was worried about me. Worried. I just laughed and hung up the phone. So, before we get to the update, it's time for the final verdict. Based on everything you've heard so far, who was in the wrong here? Cast your vote in the comments. Now, let's see what happened next. The final update. 3 years passed. 3 years of silence. My company didn't just succeed, it exploded. We developed a piece of security software that became the industry standard. I sold the company for a life-altering amount of money. I'm not talking nice house and a boat money. I'm talking never have to look at a price tag again for the rest of my life money. And right on cue, the vultures began to circle. The first call was from my mother, her voice thin, reedy, and laced with a desperate sort of cheerfulness. "Honey, we heard. Your father and I are so incredibly proud of you. We always knew you had it in you." The lie was so bold-faced it was almost impressive, I thought. I could hear my dad in the background yelling, "Tell him we need to talk. It's important." It turned out my dad's business opportunities had finally caught up with him. He'd made a series of terrible investments, leveraging their house, their savings, everything. They were on the verge of foreclosure. They needed money, and they needed it now. "I see," I said into the phone. And where is Leo in all of this? I'm sure your golden child can help you out. A choked sob came from my mother's end of the line. She told me that Leo and Clara had stayed together for a while, flaunting their relationship, undoubtedly reveling in the drama they had caused. But their foundation was built on deceit, and it crumbled just as quickly. Karma, it seems, has a funny way of working. Clara, it turned out, wasn't just a cheat, she was a serial one. Leo caught her with another man, and their dramatic breakup became the talk of their social circle. But the real kicker? Leo, in an attempt to launch his own business, some get-rich-quick scheme involving crypto, had convinced my father to give him a substantial loan. The last of their liquid assets, a loan he promptly lost every single penny of. So not only had he destroyed my personal life, he had also single-handedly accelerated my parents' financial ruin. He's had a hard time, honey. My mom pleaded. He made mistakes, we all did. But you're our son, we're your family. You can't let us lose our home. I let the silence hang in the air. I thought about the cold nights in my first apartment. I thought about the inheritance they stole. I thought about the video and the smirk on my brother's face. You made your choices, I said finally, my voice devoid of emotion. You chose which son to invest in. It seems you chose poorly. I have a new family now, my friends, my business partners, the people who were there for me when I had nothing. You are nothing more than a bad investment I cut loose years ago. Do not contact me again. I hung up the phone. I didn't feel anger or even satisfaction. I just felt peace. My revenge wasn't an act, it was a result. The result of their own actions, their own greed, their own betrayals. They had set their own house on fire, and now they were begging the sun they'd cast out to save them from the flames. But I was no longer their firefighter. I was just a man who had walked away from the inferno and built a palace of his own, far away from the ashes. And from where I stood, the view was perfect.